In 1857, her name appeared again. 2 days later, it vanished. Every 2 days, a new sale was recorded, and then nothing. No explanation, no trail, only empty pages in the county ledger. The plantation master noted her repeatedly. Bills of sale, signatures, amounts, dates, 48 hours apart, 3 times, 4 times. Each time, a new owner. Each time, the papers filed. By the 5th entry, the trail went cold. Who bought her last? Where did she go? And why does no record exist to tell the truth? This is the story of the African girl they traded every 2 days and the ledger that refused to record her final fate. We will follow the papers, the archives, the dust-covered census, and forgotten letters. Piece by piece, uncovering what history tried to hide. Her life became a pattern in ink, then a blank space in time. We start here.
The plantation sat near the Georgia River. A 2-story house, whitewashed, fading. Wood groaned under the summer heat. The air smelled faintly of earth and river mud. Windows rattled in the afternoon breeze. The floors creaked under heavy boots. She was 16, a girl of African descent, born into bondage. Her hair braided tightly, skin darkened by the sun. Her hands calloused from chores. Her eyes carried the memory of every transaction before her. Each sale, each ledger entry, a life counted in ink. The ledgers were meticulous. Owner names, sale amounts, dates. August 3rd, August 5th, August 7th.
Each 2-day interval marked her passage, columns filled with numbers. The papers smelled of mildew and dust, edges frayed, corners torn, dust collected in every fold. Neighbors whispered. A child listed in 3 separate sales in a single week was unusual. The clerks noted her only as the girl. No name, no family mentioned, no birthplace, no record of origin. Slavery was business. Numbers mattered more than faces. Yet some entries were different. Handwriting shifted. Ink color varied from black to brown. Sometimes letters were faint, sometimes scratched out. The last page, blank. Plantation owners, clerks, county judges, all records ended abruptly. The ledger itself seemed to have erased her existence. Empty lines stared back at any who dared to read. It was as though the paper knew a secret, a life that could not be contained by signatures or stamps. The room held small, subtle details. A feather quill left stiff in a jar, a chair missing one leg, cobwebs stretched across corners, sunlight falling in rectangles on the dusted floorboards, a faint scent of old ink and mold. This is the background, the room, the papers, the heat, the quiet despair. The quiet routine of commerce masked the horror beneath. The ledger, orderly and precise, hid the truth in plain sight. Her life reduced to rows and columns, every 2-day transaction a reminder of how her body was treated as property, and the gap that would haunt anyone who looked too closely. The ledger held certainty and erasure at the same time. Her story survived only in absence. The girl walked the plantation paths every day. Her footsteps echoed on wooden planks. She carried her chores with quiet endurance, yet the ledger shadowed every move, every inked line a measure of her existence, and every blank line a measure of what the system refused to record. History preserved the papers, yet it erased her story. The meticulous records, once authoritative, now whisper questions. Why did the ledger stop? Who decided she no longer existed on paper? And what of the life that continued beyond the blank page? Her memory survives in the dust, in the faint ink on brittle pages, in the heat of the plantation rooms, and in the empty lines left behind.
Historians discovered the ledger decades later. Its pages yellowed, brittle at the edges. Ink faded, corners torn, dust collected in the folds. The same girl appeared again and again, sold every 2 days. August 3rd, August 5th, August 7th. Each entry carefully logged. Each line a measure of ownership. Handwriting changed. Some entries neat, others rushed. Margins crossed out.
Ink smudged or darker in spots. A clerk's quill left streaks in the paper. Sometimes numbers were repeated. Sometimes amounts differed. Small signs of confusion or carelessness. Sometimes the buyer was listed as J. Harris. Sometimes only initials, CL, beat. No explanation why lines were crossed out, why some entries were rewritten, why some lines had no signature. One page recorded 3 children belonging to different owners, her name tied to each, yet the last line remained empty. The absence was deliberate, or at least intentional. A local census offered fragments, beat. Birthplace, unknown, beat. Parentage, unknown, beat. Resident, absent, beat. The ledger confirmed it. No family, no origins, only her measured transactions. A life reduced to ink and paper.
Investigators noted the irregularity. Why were repeated sales legal? Why was no one prosecuted? Was it negligence or deliberate erasure? Every paper told part of the story. Every missing note whispered questions. The ledger became a puzzle, and the girl, the missing piece. Every 2-day sale revealed something about the system, the cruelty of efficiency, the cold precision of commerce, rows and columns hiding human suffering, names of owners, amounts paid, dates recorded in exact order, yet the human cost ignored, unrecorded. Nearby plantations, letters and wills were examined. Nothing. No mention of her beyond the entries. Even her footsteps, if heard, left no record. The ledger alone tracked her, and it stopped. The pattern became unmistakable, a rhythm of transactions, a pulse of ownership. And then, nothing. The final blank line, a deliberate silence, a refusal to acknowledge the girl's existence. The ledger spoke quietly but firmly, its absence of record louder than any inked line. Each crossed-out entry, each missing signature, each empty line, all a testament to the system, the precision of cruelty, the invisibility imposed upon a single African girl, sold repeatedly, counted like numbers, erased like she never existed. Her story survived in the absence, in the blanks, in the smudged ink, in the whisper of history through brittle pages and forgotten margins. And the question remained: who decided she no longer existed on paper? Who allowed the ledger to stop? Why was the final sale erased from history?
Dusty boxes in county archives, letters folded, brittle, old court summonses, receipts, stacks of papers tied with faded twine. Every paper pointed to her life traced in ink and ledger lines. An estate ledger confirmed the first sale, August 3, 1857. Second sale, August 5th. Third sale, August 7th. Each entry meticulous. Each had signatures. Each confirmed payment. Each stamped. Numbers precise. Amounts exact. The fourth, missing. No owner. No receipt. No note. No mention in any archive. A clerk's personal diary mentioned a girl moved out of the county. No further description, no reasoning, no return. Just a fleeting phrase in fragile handwriting.
Historians examined nearby plantations, ledgers, wills, letters, census records. No trace, no record of her presence. Even the river she might have crossed left no mark. Her existence was almost erased. The room smelled of old paper, mildew, and dust. Sunlight fell on stacks of ledgers, cobwebs in corners. A single feather quill lay stiff in a jar. Every artifact silent, every signature meaningless without context. And yet, every paper before that week survived, each a reminder of the system, every entry a human life reduced to a number, every ledger a measure of possession, not personhood. Some letters hinted at fear. Owners complained about unrest. Troublesome child, they wrote. A sentence in faded ink. No name. No identity. Her humanity compressed to a ledger sign. Even when historians tried to follow her path, it dissolved into blank pages. A missing transaction became a missing life. And the archives, full of order and precision, could not restore it. Her story survived only as shadows, in empty boxes, in folded letters, in the faint smell of dust and ink. The evidence existed, but only in fragments. Every surviving line a witness to a life largely erased. The ledger, the diary, the letters, all spoke quietly. A life counted, measured, documented, then vanished. A reminder of how records can preserve and obliterate at the same time.
She vanished from the pages. No trace, no gravestone, no record of a final owner. We only know she existed. She was African, a child of bondage, and she was sold repeatedly. History preserved the ledger, but erased the girl. The blank lines speak louder than the inked ones. Every empty page a testimony to absence. A system of numbers could not record humanity. Her story survives in fragments, in suspicion, in gaps between entries, in papers that stopped suddenly. Every crossed-out line, every missing signature, every unmarked page. The ledger is cold, precise. It gives facts, numbers, dates, but it cannot explain her life beyond its margins. Where did she go? Who held her last? And why does no one speak her name again? Even today, historians feel the weight of that silence. Her absence raises more questions than the records answer. The system that measured her life failed to preserve it. Her identity, her movements, her voice, erased. And yet, the truth is there, hidden in plain sight. The gaps, the paper edges, the dust in the archives.
A reminder, history is written by those who record it, and some lives, deliberately or not, are erased. She was real, her story almost lost, yet we remember. Her existence marked only by ledger lines and by our recognition of what the records left unsaid. History does not always tell the full story. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it is silent, and it is in that silence that her story persists. A girl of African descent, a child of bondage, a life almost forgotten. We remember because we must.